Hello, hello. How are you? Happy Tuesday to you. I wonder what you're up to on this lovely day. This is not a day I would normally go live, but I'm getting ready to do an interview and I just spontaneously wanted to connect with you to see what's good in your world. Now that I'm back from India and all of my travels, I feel like I gotta connect as often as I possibly can. Hello, Sarah. I'm looking forward to seeing you this weekend at our Speak from the Heart workshop. It's going to be awesome, particularly because this idea around mastery is what came up with it from a couple of conversations that I've had in the last, 48 hours. And the idea is around mastery. Now, I know that I am actually probably tiptoeing into some dangerous territory, especially because I have admitted that I used to be a perfectionist and it actually drove me nearly insane. But I do want to talk about this idea about mastery. And I published that there's this phrase that I commonly share, which is practice makes perfect, right? We've all heard that. Practice makes perfect. Whether you're cooking, you're playing piano, or you're shooting hoops or playing golf, we know that with repetitive practice, you should be able to get better. But in the line of work that I'm in, which is all about mastery and peak performance, as we call it, there's this concept that yes, practice does make perfect, but perfect practice makes the master. And so I wanted to tease out the difference between perfectionism and our pursuit of excellence or mastery. And in my context, I really look at the desire for mastery is based on a desire for excellence, not perfection. I've had to clarify and refine my own position on perfectionism because there is a tendency for many of us to try to be perfect, but the motivation behind our perfectionism is actually what can be dangerous. So, for example, if you're trying to win the approval of a parent, excuse me, and you're trying to be perfect and do all of these things just so that you can get approval or affection or validation, rather than your pursuit of excellence, which could be motivated by your internal desire to achieve or express something for the sake of expressing your talents or utilizing your gifts in the world. There's a slight nuance. Does that make sense to you? Or am I crazy? The difference for me is, yes, I see what you're saying here, Sarah, that practice, in other words, repetition is the basis of learning. Yes. Neuro nerds unite. So repetition is what we could consider practice, right? But perfect practice is when we have that deliberate repetition, or when we are deliberately rehearsing, repeating an action for the express benefit of improving. So the difference that I'm trying to tease out between perfectionism, when you've got some sort of neurotic internal drive, versus a pursuit of excellence or a pursuit of mastery, for me comes from a different motivation. And so this weekend, as Sarah and Trevor, what up, Trevor? Hope you've been traveling safely. We're getting together with some people from several different countries and continents in the UK for my Speak from the Heart workshop. And this is a very unique speaker training. It's not like anything I've ever attended because it's really designed to, of course, work on the content of what you're presenting as a speaker, But this is a sort of advanced training for people who want to connect from the heart and from the soul, for people who know that they want to be a public speaker, but they want to distinguish themselves by actually having this heart-based communication. And so at Speak from the Heart, I always talk about this idea that what we're training ourselves to do is to be authentic. And this really came up for me in India, as I've shared in my last live. When I was in India with this group, the Brahma Kumaris and Sister Dr. Jenna from the Meditation Museums in the DC area, one of the things that struck me about the Brahma Kumaris is their singularity in their focus and their determination to do things with grace and peace and purity and love and kindness. Like you feel it. And what struck me this morning as I was walking to the market in Cannes, here in the south of France, I caught myself falling back into an old pattern. I had my umbrella, I'm just kind of walking, doing my thing, focused on me. Like, let me get this done, get to this next shop, and get out of here. And it struck me as I was walking home, a little late, but okay, I realized, oh wow, when I was walking around in India at the Brahma Kumaris headquarters, of course, everyone there is in white. You know, you see these beautiful white saris, and the brothers as well are dressed in white. So there's this sense of peace, there's this sense of calm. And because you can tell the visitors, like us, we had our little name badges and some of us wore colors instead of white, you instantly knew who was part of this organization, which means that they have made a commitment to seva, that is the yogic practice of doing good, of making your life about service. And so I realized as I was walking through Cannes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at these people as if they're, you know, walking on the sidewalk. They're people to be avoided and don't hit them with your umbrella. Whereas when I was in India with these beautiful people, it was like I was looking at them with a very different expectation. And what that really set up for me was a reminder that what we repeat, even if you don't consider it practice, but what you repeat is going to create these neural connections in our brains. You're going to create these grooves in your brain, these super highways that literally just put you back into a state of autopilot. And the only way you can overcome that, and you can overcome that through the process of neuroplasticity, is if we practice or if we engage in a new habit and we repeat it, particularly if we repeat it consciously and with intention. Over time, you can create new grooves in your brain. And so it just occurred to me as I was thinking about this weekend's workshop, we want people to connect from the heart, but that's not something that comes very naturally. And okay, even if you are a heart-based communicator, for many people, or let me just be real. For me, in my quest for perfectionism in the early part of my career as a public speaker, I wanted everything to be perfect. So I was always worried about the slides and my posture and my diction and all of that. And it was really heartening, I'll just say, when I got some feedback from a consultant that I hired way back in my days when I was on the Discovery Channel. And she gave me some strong feedback. But what I learned from that feedback was it doesn't matter how perfect I have everything down. I can be robotic and deliver a technically good speech. But by being in the body and by connecting from the heart, I can actually have a transformational speech. I can actually engage in a dialogue with the heart and soul of the audience. And that, that was like 13, 14 years ago. That shifted everything for me as a speaker. And so I wonder about you. Maybe you're not a public speaker, but what are the things in your life that you would like to develop mastery in? Is it mastery in, honest communication in your relationships? Is there perhaps greater mastery that you'd like to develop in your business or with your children or with your own spiritual practice? I wonder if you're willing to kind of look with a little bit more scrutiny at what are you practicing on a daily basis? Because those continued activities and actions are what are creating those common pathways in the brain, such that when you are on autopilot, that's what's going to come up naturally. It may not sound very fun, but even for those of us that want to get to that higher plane as human beings, right? We want to evolve or ascend into our highest and best self, where we are much more likely to come from the heart, much more likely to deal with people from the standpoint of compassion. If, I realize that's a big if you really do want to become a better version of yourself, to be more resilient, to be less reactive or edgy when things get stressful, are you practicing that now? Because when things get stressful or things don't go the way you want them to, that is when, for most of us, we, find ourselves with that stress response, which creates brain activity that is not in our highest, most evolved state. When we're stressed out or when we're under pressure, most of us tend to go into tunnel vision, straight ahead thinking like, I've got to get this done, get this done, get this done, get past this. And that puts us in autopilot, so that if something unexpected comes our way, if we're not present and dialed into these higher brain centers, these higher states of consciousness, then whatever's been programmed, or I could say that whatever has been practiced, repeated habitually, that's what's going to get kicked in from our lower brain. It's just a fact of that's how the brain works. And so if there's an area of your life that you really want to experience mastery, if you really want to develop the superpower of resilience, then that's what you need to be practicing and repeating on a daily basis. And so how do you do that? Well, being mindful is step one. So first, really looking at what are the traits or states of being that you want to enhance. Like, I would love to be more masterful in being a calm, cool, collected parent. I got to see this in action with someone I believe who has truly developed serious mastery. It's my dear friend, the author of this book, Hot Yoga, Solveig Thorarinsdottir. And she, of course, she's a yogi. She's been practicing yoga for years. She just got back from a whole month in Thailand, and beyond just being able to bend her body into pretzel-like positions, she has developed that discipline of yoga, which is yoking the body and the mind. And the whole yogic philosophy is really about developing these greater traits of resilience and peace and love, kindness and compassion. And so I was blessed to spend some time with her this summer in Iceland at her home. And if you can imagine, I've only got one kid and she keeps me busy. She keeps me on my toes. But Solveig has 3 beautiful children. And it's amazing because when I got there, not only were her kids running around, but then there were a couple of neighbor kids coming in, and Sol wasn't there yet. And she was like, look at you, you've just inherited a bunch of kids. And I'm like, what do I do? They don't know me, how am I going to come and be the adult in charge? But it was interesting because I did what I do. I just was being peaceful and nice, and it's kind of easy when you're not really the parent in charge. But what I saw when Solveig came home was peace in action. It wasn't like I didn't see her get ruffled or flustered at all. Kids jumping and asking questions. And you know how it is when you first get home, whether you have children or a pet, and your pet or your child is coming at you and they're like, oh, where have you been? Where have you been? I've been waiting for you all day. And she just came in with this sense of tranquility. And I want that sense of mastery. I want to remain kind of chill and focused and balanced in my energy. I noticed the same thing being with Sister Dr. Jenna while we were in India. Here we were on this retreat. Now, our group was just 20 people, but we were part of a larger retreat of 275 people. And so not only was Sister Jenna, responsible for keeping us together and in line, but, she had other responsibilities within the organization, being back in India and such. And the grace and the peace with which Sister Jenna was able to just move from place to place, responsibility to responsibility. She was also, leading some of these meditations and morning meditations. And she was so popular that they asked her to do another one. And it was like, okay. But that sense of grace that we see from yogis, people who are practicing regularly this union of body and mind, as well as practicing mindfulness, like being aware, consciously aware, intentionally aware of the attitudes, the energy, the vibe that we put out to the world, the language that you use, like being truly mindful and in the present moment with hopefully some ideals or some values that you're aiming for. That is what I'm talking about. And this idea of developing a certain amount of intentional practice is what's going to lead to mastery. So I haven't seen from any of you, is there anything in your life that you are intentionally looking to master? I'm curious. Am I the only one here? I would be very curious to know. I know that some of you are mastering writing with me. Hello, Kimberly and Maudlin, some of the authors from our upcoming books. We have 2 books coming out next month. Well, maybe three books coming. Wait, 4 books. Oh my gosh. I have 6 books coming out in the next 12 weeks. Okay. So we have Magic and Miracles, which is a book that we are publishing at Make Your Mark Global. I'm very, very excited for this because Magic and Miracles features several authors from multiple countries who are each sharing real life stories of mystical, magical, out of this world experiences. And so that book is coming out next month. Look for it. And then the other book that we have coming out is Life After Trauma, where again, we've got almost 20 people sharing their personal stories of how they've overcome trauma and are thriving. So we have these 2 books coming out next month. The lovely Helen Rebello is the author of The Magical Unfolding, and I'm interviewing her today for her launch video. Super excited about this book because she is really one of those yogis that is living her truth and living that path. So super excited about her book as well, but her book is coming out this month in a matter of days. In fact, Trevor and I and some other people will be in Bristol next week for her launch party. And then we have Leslie van Oostenbrugge, the Awakening Dentist, who is going to be releasing her book, and Yvette Taylor with the Ultimate Self-Help book. So I know that many of the people who are in my tribe are on this path toward mastery of their ability to write and tell stories. It really is, as we've discovered, part of the hero's journey to make this step and this bold declaration to become an author, a published author. And not just an author of anything, but an author of your own personal stories. So it is quite quite a journey. We'll just say it like that. So nobody out here? Okay, so Meta Louisa, you're saying impatience. So you're working on mastering patience, I imagine, not impatience. That was a big one for me, Meta Louisa. I'm with you on that. Life had to smack me around a few times until I got closer to mastery of patience. I don't think I'm 100% there, but I'm getting pretty close. I'm getting closer, I will just say. Ego. So Kimberly, are you saying that you're on the path toward getting some mastery over ego? Coming from isness. Oh, I see that now. Kimberly says, she's one of our authors, coming from my isness and not the ego. I like that. The isness, the beingness, the real self that you are. And Sarah says, I want to master my mind, especially when I'm running in a race. And self-doubt seems to creep in as the physical pain ramps up. Well, I know how that must be. Well, I don't know how it is because Sarah is training for her next marathon. Is this your second marathon? Doesn't even matter if it's second, third. It's more than one, and that's more than I've done. So I can imagine, but stay the course, my friend Sarah, and we're wrapping you with vibes of healing energy such that you can continue to master your mind. It is all mind over matter, isn't it? Thank you, Sunita. I'm glad that you're looking forward to reading the book. I think it's going to be awesome. Yay. And yes, Elspeth, who's also contributing to our Magic and Miracles book. Yep, so many books to read. It is true. And so Meta Louisa says that a lot of triggers are coming up because you're on a small vacation with your parents. I can imagine that would be full of triggers. It would be for me anyway. So I wish you peace, my friend, and may you continue to deliberately practice patience and compassion. I think being around our parents as we're in our adult lives, for me, has definitely required me to get into a lot more of the space of out of my head and judgment and into my heart of compassion. Yeah. Oh, and so Trevor Hahn says you want to rewire and refire your brain. Awesome. Well, yeah, do it, man. Do it. Oh, wow. So Sarah says it's her number 4 marathon, and this is in Venice. So exciting. And yes, I think you're right, Sarah. Endurance sport is 90% mental. It's mind over matter, baby. You know, you're working it. You are working it. So this idea of intentional practice, I mean, Sarah, you've had to do this as you're preparing for a marathon. It's intentional practice. So as we say, perfect practice makes the master, which means in the case of preparing for a marathon, you're setting out your running schedule. You've got to eat right. You've got to sleep. You've got to stay hydrated. There's so many things that we do when we have a physical challenge that we're trying to overcome. And it definitely requires that sense of perfect practice to lead to that mastery. And I think the only difference I can say is when you have an event like you're presenting your next TED Talk, doing this TEDx in 2019, or Sarah doing a marathon, or for our crazy friends who do these triathlons and Ironman competitions. In that case, you have like a specific fixed date, and you can plan all of your time leading up to that moment, and it makes sense that what you're doing, and you can even measure your progress. But what about when you are aiming for something a little more abstract, like becoming a better communicator, or becoming less reactive, becoming more patient? It requires this deliberate practice, but it's not like, do we set ourselves up for little trials like you might do when you're preparing for a marathon. You say, okay, well, now it's time for me to run a half marathon and time it and all of that sort of thing, where you're creating a specific mini event. But what do you all do? I'm curious to hear when you know that you need to be exploring ways of developing this mastery in your life. What are you doing? I'd be curious to hear. And I like what you're saying here, Kimberly, an every moment beingness. So cultivating an every moment beingness, which, how do you do that? I would call that just being totally, totally mindful. For those of you that would like some help in this area, this is one of the things that I have decided to focus on, is helping people get to a certain level of mastery by building up the superpower of resilience. I believe that as we develop resilience, we can heal faster. We can lower our reactivity and our stress. We can actually prolong our health span and maybe even our lifespan through the practice of mindfulness, meditation, yoga, breath work. And I'm now leading a monthly group meditation in a superpower membership, which includes my attunement process mindfulness meditation course. I found out this year that as I've been speaking about the attunement process, which is a 5-step mindfulness meditation process that incorporates all of the goodness of positive psychology, mindfulness, compassion, breath work. It helps you develop brainwave training so that you could literally measure it and see yourself going from the busy beta wave minds of our active busy mind into alpha and into deeper states of relaxation, which correspond to higher states of consciousness. And so this 5-step mindfulness meditation process has been helping people with their own healing and their own emotional well-being, but it's also useful for people who are in the helping or healing professions. So if you want to enhance your healing capabilities to do more distance healing or hands-on healing or even hands-off healing, it's been really wonderful that way. But practicing it in a group, we get together on Zoom. I do a teaching and then I lead a group meditation. What people are finding is that space that we create, that intention that we all hold, and then the practice of being in the state of deep meditation, connected to love and compassion, it's transformative. It can actually create these waves of positivity that people are feeling. So we can focus on healing other people. We might send an intention for success or for getting through a breakup or a surgery, and you as a practitioner will also benefit personally. So maybe Sarah, you can pop the link in there for me, but you just go to attunement meditation. Actually, I think I have it. If you go to attunementmeditation.com/course, you can join the Superpower membership for just $1. It's a $1 trial. You can try it out, watch all the videos from the attunement process, learn how to do it, download all the free meditations that you can do morning and night, and then join me in a couple weeks' time for our first group healing session. So it's $1 for the first month. There's no risk. You can cancel anytime. But that process of learning the techniques and then being able to practice it and then connect with me and a group of other amazing people will give you a way that you can practice consistently and develop some mastery. So mastery in the area of resilience, which, the definition of resilience is our innate ability. We do have an innate ability to bounce back after life kind of knocks us around. And it's within our DNA, it's within our brains, it's within our cellular technology that we are meant to return to a state of wholeness and peace and vitality even when we've had an illness or an injury or surgery or just the stress of life and challenges, whether that's loss or just pressure. And so we all have the ability to bounce back and to even bounce back and thrive. You know, that's what people are sharing in the book, Life After Trauma. We all have that ability, but we don't have to wait till we're traumatized or put to the test. We can actually develop these resilience skills on an ongoing basis. And so in our Superpower membership, with this attunement meditation course, what you'll do is you learn the technique of the 5-step mindfulness meditation course, practice it on your own, and then get together with me on a monthly basis with everyone else to learn each month one of the top 10 traits for highly resilient people, which is in the free ebook that you get with the course. So when you look at these top 10 traits of highly resilient people, which is some of what I actually shared in my second TED talk that I did in Jersey in the UK, each of these traits has been shown, like clinically, to enhance our ability to deal with stress, to recover from illness. Like you can literally impact your immune system. These resilience traits have been correlated with things like better outcome after surgery, lower incidence of getting infections like the cold and the flu, and certainly for people who practice any type of healing work, whether you're a solo practitioner or you're teaching or you're leading workshops. When you develop some of these resilience superpowers, you will find that you are much more effective in these areas of your life. So I'm super excited about this because I've been wanting to create either attend or create a superpower university since I was a kid. And you know how it is. You get these downloads from spirit and it's like, you know, you've been wanting this. And if it doesn't exist yet, it's time for you to create it. So with the help of our dear friend, Trevor Hahn, we launched Innate Vitality, which is a new platform and online presence, and along with vitamins and supplements, with the express intention of creating a storehouse of resources, education, lots of free material to help people around the world tune into their innate ability to recover, to thrive, to flourish, and yes, to enhance your superpowers, the powers that you get through yoga and meditation and perfect practice. So I hope that some of you out there will join us because I do believe that as I gave up perfectionism and looking outside for validation and approval, what was at the core of all of that for me is I still have this innate drive and appreciation of beauty and excellence. And that's something I want to continue to cultivate. So about a year ago, almost a year and a half ago, I shared with one of my business mentors that this was really what I wanted to focus on, which, you know, it sounds, I don't know, how does this sound to you? Does this sound like esoteric, helping people develop superpowers of resilience and healing and, you know, things like ESP and distance healing and clairvoyance? Of course, there's the practical stuff that, you know, it's like what I shared about Sister Jenna or Solveig. You know, Sister Jenna with the Brahma Kumaris, they are doing incredible good for the world. It's not like they're just teaching meditation and, you know, sitting in an ashram. When we were in India, we visited their solar thermal power plant that's supplying thousands of people with energy just by harnessing the power of the sun. There's yogic farming that they're doing. We visited the global hospital that they built and financed, which is providing top quality health care to people in India. Like these yogis are in action. They are putting their ethics into action with love and determination. And it's the same for Solveig. You know, in Iceland, she's got this amazing yoga studio called Solir that has, you know, new partnerships and is revolutionizing what yoga can really be like. It can be mainstream, and for people who are, into kick-ass performance, which is why, she was able with her team there to earn the #1 yoga studio in Europe. And Iceland, in case you didn't know, isn't really in Europe, and yet they won this award. Okay, they got to compete in that category and they won. So it's pretty impressive to me that just because you're on a spiritual path, just because you're into yoga or meditation or mindfulness, doesn't mean that you'll totally lose your ambition to do things with excellence and to do things that have an extraordinary impact. It just means that you're bringing a new energy, and there's a new fuel coming from within. And that's what I noticed for myself. I noticed that when I was ready to claim, which, I was just talking to our other friend, Willow McIntosh in the UK. He's helping people who may have hidden the fact that they were highly sensitive people. He helps highly sensitive or high sensory processing entrepreneurs really own their gifts. And that's a key part of this journey of ours. If we really want to develop a sense of mastery in the world, in our lives, in our relationships, with our talents, the first step is really owning the fact that you do have something within you that can be developed, that can be owned or claimed, and then dedicated to service or to helping the world, however you want to look at that. What's up, Shamini? It's good to see you. Miss your beautiful spirit around here, sending you love and light and healing vibes. So that's what happened for me. A year ago when I confessed it out loud to one of my business mentors, that was a bold step for me, and it's a bold step, in the hero's journey. When you feel this calling, this pulling, this tugging, that's inviting you to do something or make some sort of a commitment or to strike out on a new path, and you finally say yes, that's a first step on your hero's journey. Many of us refused the call. Heaven knows I did. I justified all the reasons why I should be doing this, and this, instead of really just owning the fact that at a soul level, I feel like it's my dharma, my life purpose, my raison d'être. I really believe that part of the reason I'm on the planet in this lifetime, at this time, is to bring forth my passion for neuroscience, my nerdiness, mixing that with my love of conscious communication and storytelling, and bringing it together with this soul-fueled desire to help people really connect with Source, God, the universe, that connection with the authentic, true self. And as mystical and crazy as that sounds, I know that bringing together my work as a medical doctor, Chinese medicine, neuroscience nerd, acupuncturist, conscious communication media specialist, bringing all that together with my heart's desire to contribute to the end of suffering on the planet, that's my dharma. Like, that is, I believe, the reason that I'm here. And so from a business standpoint, it was like, okay, first of all, how do you categorize that? Shout out to my friends Nick Haynes and Runa Magnusdottir from Runa Magnus from the hashtag No More Boxes movement. I mean, there's no way you could put me into one singular box. And for so many years of my life, I tried to do that, or I tried to, if I was talking to one group of people, I would only talk about certain things so that they would understand me in that one singular way. And then I'd try with a different group to fit into this other box. And, I realized, I don't know, I guess it was almost 15 years ago that, thank you, Margareta. Ciao, Bella. I realized that I couldn't smush my awesome sauce into one singular pot. I recognize that no matter what I'm doing, even though I may be wearing different hats being a multi-passionista, as you say, Shamini, a multi-passionate entrepreneur, I realized that it doesn't matter what role I'm fulfilling or which hat I'm wearing. There's one Drea. There's one Drea, and I bring all of me to it. And I think in reading or listening to the book by Stephen Cope, The Great Work of Your Life, which is all about really these stages that we go through in recognizing, naming, and claiming our Dharma, and then focusing on it with that singularity of vision, that's really what's come clear for me. And as much as it may sound a little weird to some people, for the first time, I feel like, this is where I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be doing this in this weird, unique way that I do. And that's what I want to help people do. I want to help as many people as possible tune in to their authentic self, connecting to that divine source, and really reconnecting to your own soul DNA, your soul print, and your own destiny. And then learning how to develop mastery over this human existence that we have. You know, as a soul, as a spirit incarnating into human form, we are meant to be the driver, if you will, of this human life. But not from the ego standpoint. We're supposed to really be that conscious director or co-director, if you want to call it, co-directing with the divine. That's really what we're intended to do. And because the human body is so magical and we have this mind-body connection, if you use your soul consciousness to take control of the mind, you can influence the body. Like, that is your birthright. You can influence the health, the vitality, of course, the physicality of your body, and use this body to live out your soul's destiny, to clean up karma if you got to clean up some of that, but hopefully to also ascend and evolve on this soul journey, so that you are becoming the best version of yourself possible in this lifetime. So I don't know how I got off on that tangent. That wasn't really where I thought I was going, but you know, when you are inspired or in spiritus, you learn to surrender to the flow. And that is definitely where I have returned since coming back from this trip to India. And in the next time I go live, I want to share a little bit more about that with you, with this idea of surrender and this idea of non-attachment. I've learned some big lessons in the last 3 weeks that have just helped me refocus and recommit. So if you would like some support and some love along this journey, I invite you to check out innatevitality.com. Innate Vitality is, let's see if I can put it up on the screen for you. Innate. It's literally innate. I'm going to find a way to put this on the screen. Sorry, guys. Usually I'm all on point. Innatevitality.com. And, you know, the 8 stands for that infinity loop. Ooh, there it is, right over my face. InnateVitality.com. If you go to Innate Vitality, you will find all sorts of masterclasses and ways that you can get some free audio downloads. But that is where you'll find kind of the intersection of the health and vitality stuff that I'm working on. And as I mentioned, you can also join me for our superhero mastermind membership by joining the attunementmeditation.com/course. And it's a $1 trial. First month is just $1. Come in, check it out, be with me for a group healing practice so that you can really do some perfect practice and develop mastery over your body, your mind, your life, and enhance your superpowers. So my friends, I have enjoyed connecting with you, a little bit of an impromptu get-together on a Tuesday, which is not my normal day. I also felt like this was important because as of Thursday, I'll be in the UK leading Speak from the Heart with some of you that are coming. And Margareta, I will give you the feedback on supplements when I see you in person. And that's coming. You can expect a mega post from me at innatevitality.com where I give you kind of my insights on supplements. I've been in the evaluation and the taking and testing of nutritional supplements for over 15 years. And I have a lot to say about that because even with the perfect vegan diet, whole food vegan, eating from the earth, for most of us, you're still going to need some sort of supplementation. It's just a fact of life. So I want to share with people the insights that I've learned and the things that I'm taking and the formulas that we're creating. When we just launched with a few different formulas. We have several more that are coming down the pike. Just you wait. But yeah, I have surrendered. I am grateful to you, Trevor, for your angelic support of our launch. Innate Vitality is now out in the world, and it's its own beingness of a soul-inspired entity. So I'm excited to see what happens next. And Shamini, I'm so glad that you're using Uplift Me and that it's helping you. I take that every day. So does my daughter, to keep our brains firing in the upbeat and positive state of mind. Kind of crucial when you're going through hormonal changes. Although Uplift Me is good for men too. It's not just about hormones, but for the ladies out there, you know what I'm talking about. When you have these ups and downs of your hormones and it affects your mood, Uplift Me can help you out so wonderfully. So what's up, Rahima? Thank you for being here. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And if you're catching this on the replay, I am grateful for you as well for you sticking in, and I didn't anticipate being on here for 40 some odd minutes, but voila, that's what happens when you stay gone for 3 weeks. So my friends, I wish you a fabulous rest of your day. If I miss you because I'm teaching in England, don't worry, I'm still here supporting you with love and positive energy. And I hope that you will join us in the attunement meditation enhance your superpower membership so that we can all direct our practice towards being the best versions of ourselves. And yeah, you might develop some superpowers along the way, being able to teleport, walk through walls, have ESP, have, amazing healing powers. You never know. So until next time, my friends, please know that there is so much love for you and support for you from the universe and from everyone in this tribe. Until we meet again, remember that you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love. Bye.